And a good Saturday evening to you all. Welcome back, everybody. It is another episode of BS and a Beer, and we've got an interesting one to talk about tonight. But first, we have to get through the actual, see if we have a beer part, and I will explain why. Sliding in, we have, completely out of focus, there it is, the Dieu du Ciel Fumisterie. I think Fumisterie? I'm not 100% sure on the French, but I know that is Dieu du Ciel, which I believe translates to God of the Sky or something like that. It is a brewery in Montreal, Canada. It is a 5.5% beer brewed with hemp seed, but here's why I'm nervous. You can see the bottled on date 04 thank you, of 2010. That's right, this thing has a birthday in April of 2010. That's 15 years ago. Where's my bottle opener? There it is. So I don't know. An ale brewed with hemp seed that's 5.5%, that's 15 years old. What could possibly go wrong? We're going to find out together. Oh boy. Bear with me. I dare say we might be okay. Well, maybe. Let's take a look. Take a sniff. I mean, it doesn't smell terrible. Okay, I think we might actually be okay. So, on that note, let's flip it around and go from there. Okay, and we're over here. I don't know. I might be walking it back a minute. The longer it's sitting, the weirder it's smelling, but who knows? It could be the hemp seed. I actually don't know what this beer is supposed to taste like when it's fresh, let alone 15 years old. So, fingers crossed. If this turns out to be not good, I'll be back here in a minute, and we'll have washed out this glass. Give me a minute. As weird as this sounds, kind of has a raisin taste at the end. Almost no flavor whatsoever. I think this one might be aged to the point of it's toast, but it's drinkable. I don't know. That's interesting. Yeah. Get a little malt sweetness, a little bitterness, then it fades, then it's raisin. I don't know. I don't think it's great, but it's definitely not rancid. All right, well, good. That means we can continue on. So tonight, I was thinking, in all the weirdness that is history, and we've all seen it, there's plenty of weirdness, I wanted to start looking at it because I know there was a couple famous battles or incidents in various wars over the years, and I wanted to see if I could find even a half-comprehensive list of some of them, and man, there were some lists. So I figured, you know what, this is going to be a good default. If I ever kind of get stuck, I can do another 5 of these. So these are 5 of the strangest battles that, part 1, that have ever come across human history, and basically what they were about and, what happened afterward. We start, this is a good one. This is a very good one. This is a classic one right here. And a lot of these are going to be pictures of or at least artist renditions of the event, but it will, with the exception of one, but I'll get to that. This first one, we go back to 1325 in Italy. This is simply known as the War of the Oaken Bucket. There's a picture right there. Basically, it was a clash that had been going on for a long time and continued on long after this between the Guelphs, who had their stronghold in Bologna, and the Ghibellines, who had their stronghold in Modena. They've been clashing. The city-states of ancient Rome constantly clashed over and over. And weirdly, for the several hundred years that these guys were going, there was only one real event. It was the Battle of Zappolino, which is what this refers to. And in the Battle of Zappolino, the War of the Oaken Bucket, quote-unquote War of the Oaken Bucket, was really the only thing that happened. Essentially, it was a clash, and the Ghibellines in Modena drove the Bolognese back into their fortresses. Approximately 2,500 Bolognese casualties, around 500 Modenese casualties. But afterward, and here's the kicker, here's where the bucket comes in. Once they had driven the Bolognese back, the Modenese stole, apparently, there was a well outside of the city fortifications with an oak bucket for water, and apparently the Modenese simply stole the bucket as I guess, as a trophy or as a big FU to them. Either way, they stole a bucket. And look, the bucket is actually still on display in Modena. That is the actual bucket. There's one that's hanging, it's a replica, but that one, I believe, is the actual one that's enclosed in the case. Now, again, this happened in the year 1325. Here's the kicker. The war between Bologna and Modena, well, the skirmishes, as it were, continued on until the year 1529. Yeah, 200 years additional past the War of the Oaken Bucket. Those two city-states were just constantly bickering back and forth. Ultimately, everything came to a close in the year 1529 when Charles I of Spain seized control of Italy. Can you imagine a struggle that's going on for hundreds of years, because it had already been going on long before 1325 in the Oaken Bucket, and it continued on, and the only real battle was over a water bucket? Who would have thought? But you see, this is the kind of stuff I'm talking about. This is the weirdest, like, legitimately, the strangest things. Like, why are they doing it? Why are they titling it? And here's the second one, and this one has a good title. This is called The War of Jenkins' Ear. Lasted from 1739 to 1748. It was a war between Great Britain and Spain. Great Britain had overall approximately 20,000 casualties, Spain around 10,000. The name itself, the War of Jenkins' Ear, there was a Jenkins in particular, believe me, comes from Robert Jenkins. He was a British sea captain whose ear was, and again, allegedly severed in April of 1731 by Spanish Coast Guard who were searching his ship for contraband. It became a blockade, it became a war, thousands of casualties that lasted for 9 years, 1739 to 1748. Ultimately, now here's where treaties and war just absolutely get crazy. It resulted in the treaty, and I'm going to butcher this pronunciation because French and I don't exactly see eye to eye, the Treaty of Aix-la-Chapelle, which also, and here's the crazy part, this war between Spain and Great Britain that ultimately ended in a treaty named for somewhere in France, the Aix-la-Chapelle, also ended the War of Austrian Secession. This is why history, and this is why I've always maintained, I will maintain it till the day I die. History is some of the greatest stuff that you're going to run across, because people in Hollywood, they can barely come up with stuff like this with actual source material, let alone come up with something like this out of the blue. This stuff is crazy, and that is why I absolutely love it. Now let's turn our attention back to the Fumisterie. And the crazy thing is, like, I've had, like, other drinks that have that have hemp seed put in there. I think I've even eaten hemp seed and things. I could not tell you for the life of me what hemp seed tastes like. I mean, obviously we know one of the derivatives of hemp, but honestly, let's us also not forget the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution of the United States, many great documents in United States history and possibly many other cultures were written on hemp. That was the papyrus, as it were, of the budding American colonies. It was hemp. All the presidents, all the founding fathers were hemp farmers. Washington, Jefferson, they all were, because it was such a versatile crop. And then came the 1930s and William Randolph Hearst and his interest in the timber industry. But you know what? Hey, there's something. That'll be something good to talk about in a future episode. Zach, if you're watching this, make a mental note of that. Thanks, pal. But anyway, back to the beer. Yeah, it's just aged to the point of just diminishing return and all that. That truly is all that it is. But the good thing is that it's actually still drinkable, so minor victory there. Speaking of minor victories, actually, God, Zach, you're actually almost getting better at this segue thing. No, you're not. Stop thinking that. We have a very short skirmish, simply known as the Pastry War. This is a good one. A minor skirmish that took place between 1838 and 1839, resulting in that blockade there. That was an artist's rendition, obviously. It was between France and Mexico. French casualties during the event, 121. Mexican casualties, 224, plus a fort. We'll get to the fort in a minute. It began in 1832, 6 years prior, when a French pastry chef, known simply only as Monsieur Remontel, Remontel, Monsieur Remontel, said that Mexican officers in the year 1832 looted his shop in let me see if I can pronounce this right. Tacubaya, which was, at the time, I don't even know if it's still there, just on the outskirts of Ciudad de Mexico, so Mexico City. He demanded 60,000 pesos in reparations, even though I think I read that his store itself as a whole was only valued at 10,000 pesos. But needless to say, it happened that. The Mexican officials basically told him to take a hike. He complained to the French government. The French then came back and demanded 600,000 pesos, of which Mexico also told the French to go pound salt. So then the blockade came, the blockade from the picture, and they seized, the fort of San Juan de Ulao. A treaty came around very soon after that in 1839. France left, removed the blockade, returned the fort. The treaty was signed. They agreed to pay 600,000 pesos. I'm sorry. The Mexican government did not pay it, and then that was ultimately used come 1861 when the French revisited Mexico for their second time. That was all a part of it. And now, this one was interesting. This one I actually hadn't heard of, so we're going to take a little sip of the basically dead Fumisterie. But, hey, you know what? And honestly, though, shout out Canada, because I have had stuff from this brewery before. Their stuff is really good. And even this, for 15 years old and essentially all but dead, it's actually drinkable. It's not the greatest thing in the world, but there is nothing in here that is going to make anything wrong happen. Believe me, I've dealt with those beers before. The only reason I'm not drinking it faster is because it actually doesn't taste all that great at this point. Anyway, but there is alcohol in there, so we have a winner there. For those in the area of where I'm about to talk about, not my area, there's only a few of you that I know of. Any of you ever wonder how Michigan actually got the Upper Peninsula, that detached part that is attached to Wisconsin, where there's absolutely no connection to the state of Michigan? Zach, put up a picture so they see what you're talking about. Everybody knows what the Upper Peninsula is. Would you ever wonder how they ended up getting the peninsula? It turns out there's a very good reason. Zach, put up the other picture right there. That is a little strip of land called the Toledo Strip, because this is the Toledo War. Not Toledo in Spain, but Toledo in Ohio. Lasted a couple of months, late 1835 to early 1836. It was a boundary dispute between the Michigan militia and the Ohio militia. They wanted that little strip of land in both of the states because if you look, Zach, please have extended that a little bit, or put it up again. You can see that there is right in that little strip of land that ultimately went to Ohio, I do have to say, there's the mouth of, what river was it? The Maumee River. And the Maumee River, that leads inland. That inland shipping lanes, especially in those days, were gold. That's why people were battling over Pittsburgh, because they were sitting at the mouth of the Ohio River, which ultimately led to the Mississippi and everywhere else subsequently. So naturally, they wanted both states. Well, I shouldn't say that. Ohio, I think, was a state. Michigan was still a territory at the time. But they both wanted the strip of land. They clashed. I don't believe there were any casualties. However, and then here's where it came from. In 1836, so very soon after it began, Congress proposed to Michigan that it relinquish control of the Toledo Strip back to Ohio. In exchange, they would be granted statehood and the entirety of the Upper Peninsula, because at the time they only had about a quarter of it away from, on the peninsula part of it, rather than closer to Wisconsin. So essentially, Michigan traded the Toledo Strip and the mouth of the river and whatnot for admission to the United States as a state, and ultimately for the remainder of the Upper Peninsula, which now it's what it currently has, that juts up against Wisconsin. Well, I have been to Michigan. I've been to Detroit on 2 separate occasions. Never been to the Upper Peninsula. Always wanted to. Heard it's beautiful. Just never been there. Mackinac Island as well. That's a place that I would like to go one day. Take one more sip, and we're going to finish off with the 5th and final one for tonight, because like I said, this is 1 through 5, and this is part 1. There are plenty, because my God, have humans fought over some weird stuff, and fought with weird stuff. If you've ever heard the Emu War, you'll understand exactly what I'm talking about. Shout out Australia. So one other, I think it was Australia, New Zealand, one of the two. I think Australia. Sounds like something that would happen there. They also have plagues of mice. Leaf Fan Down Under knows exactly what I'm talking about. And now, this is the most recent one. Weirdly enough, I didn't actually plan. Oh, okay, kind of went off kilter. This is an artist rendition because, number one, it was very, very, very short-lived. I think a matter of a week or 2. And nobody really knew what was going on. This is simply referred to as the War of the Stray Dog in the year 1925. And it was essentially a brief Greek invasion of Bulgaria. And it stems from, there's 2 versions of the story. The first version, which I believe is the more commonly accepted version, was a Greek soldier was chasing after a stray dog. Said stray dog went across the border into Bulgaria. The soldier was continuing to chase it, and the soldier was gunned down by Bulgarian sentries. And the other version of the story is that the Bulgarians attacked a Greek outpost and killed a Greek captain and sentry. Like I said, nobody knows 100%, but they're pretty sure it was the first one, the guy running over the border on accident after a dog. Crazier things have happened in war. Ultimately, what happened, Bulgaria had 50 casualties, Greece had 121. And essentially, it was ended very quickly and very peacefully because, who was it? I can't remember which governing agent it was. Zach put it up there. I'm blanking and I didn't write it down. League of Nations, maybe? I'll correct myself if I'm wrong. Basically, they shut it down and ordered Greek pay £45,000 in compensation to the soldiers, or to families of the Bulgarians that were killed, because the majority of the 50 of the Bulgarian casualties were in fact civilians. So that was that, and that was how it ended. You have that ended relatively peacefully. You have the Pastry War that ended relatively peacefully. Then you have the War of the Oaken Bucket, which was a struggle that continued for another 200 years and only ended when Spain got involved. You have the War of Jenkins' Ear that resulted in, over 30,000 casualties. Humans will fight over the weirdest things, and we are, to quote the late great George Carlin, we are a warlike lot. But this is the history. This is the history that they really didn't teach us in school. And I think we all secretly wish they did, because I know through various people from Canada, I know most of them, if not all of them, are absolutely sick of hearing and learning about the fur trade. Even we learned about the fur trade. I was tired of learning about the fur trade, and it wasn't even our country. Like the Hudson Bay Company, or the Hudson Bay Trading Company, no, that was just not in my wheelhouse back then, or even today. But it's the weird little things like this. And this is also why I'm glad I'm doing this, because a lot of these things so many people don't know about, and it would honestly be a tragedy if some of these very, very strange events were forgotten. Like, they had a war and they stole a bucket at the end of it, which led to 200 years more of battling, to the point where the bucket is actually on display to this day. We're talking, 1325. Oh, actually, as weird as this sounds, 900 years ago this year. But that, as I've always said, that is the glory of history, and that why I will continue to love it, and why I will continue to talk about it, and hopefully you guys continue to love it too. So that's going to do it. This was a weird one, but it was a fun one. It's just the weird little history tidbits. That's what it's all about. And again, I think I was talking to Justin, Three Good Nerds, about it, and it's the glory of history, because you more than likely you won't get a definitive answer for something, and there's a very good chance that in your lifetime you never will. So many mysteries have been lost to history. Like, will we ever know exactly who Jack the Ripper was? We don't know. Will we ever know exactly what happened with the lost colony of Roanoke? We may never know. But again, that is the beauty of it. So we are going to end the beauty of it. Teaser for next week, I don't know. God's honest truth, I don't know what I'm going to be doing next Friday. I have a couple of things, a couple of really good ideas from other people that I've been marinating on and I've been doing some research on, so I'll have to see just how it comes of it. So we're going to do one last one. If you're having along with me, we're going to go in typical French style, and I know this also French Canadian style, because there is a difference. There is a difference. They have their own. It's much like American English and British English. They have their own slang and vernacular, but basically it goes like this: "A ta santé," which means to your health in the informal fashion. That was a fun one. I'm glad the beer wasn't rancid and I didn't have to get up and start over. Always a good day when that happens. So that is going to do it for BS and a Beer. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I still love doing these. I'm going to continue to do them. So now I'm going to leave you with the final parting weird thought. Basically, here's the proof that the earth isn't flat. Because if you think about it, if the earth was flat, then the edge of the earth, guaranteed, would be a tourist attraction and lots of Instagram photos. Have a good night, everybody.